who is actually following Sanatana Dharma? Today, millions identify as Hindus. Millions say they follow Sanatana Dharma. But an honest question must be asked. Are we following Sanatana Dharma or merely inheriting a label? Srila Prabhupada was very direct on this point. In the Bhagavad Gita as it is, Krishna tells Arjuna in the very first instruction on spiritual knowledge, the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. BG 15.8. We carry our conditioning, but carrying a tradition is not the same as following it. The scriptures do not define a follower of Dharma by birth, by caste, by the marks worn on the forehead, or by the deity one visits on festival days. Krishna says plainly in Bhagavad Gita 3:16, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly lives a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain, living in vain. That is a serious statement from the Supreme Lord himself. A person may say, I am Hindu, and yet eat the flesh of animals, drink intoxicants, gamble away their intelligence, engage in unrestricted sense gratification, neglect daily prayer, neglect scripture, and never seriously inquire into God's instructions. Is that Sanatana Dharma, or is that simply material life with a religious name attached to it? Srila Prabhupada spoke about this without apology. He said that religion without philosophy is sentiment, and sentiment without the discipline of sadhana gradually becomes superstition. The Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, verse 13 states, O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please the personality of Godhead, not to please society, not to please one's own mind, to please the personality of Godhead. That is the standard. Now we must ask honestly, how many who claim to follow Sanatana Dharma are actually directing their life toward pleasing Krishna? The great Acharyas did not teach a religion of convenience. Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, and Srila Prabhupada all taught the same thing. Surrender is not occasional. Devotion is not decorative. Spiritual life means transformation of character. The nectar of devotion describes the foundational practices, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, hearing about the Lord, chanting his holy names, remembering him. These are not optional activities for spiritually advanced persons. They are the daily duties of anyone who sincerely claims to follow Dharma. Srila Prabhupada gave 4 regulative principles as the minimum standard for serious spiritual life. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit connection. These principles did not originate with Srila Prabhupada. They are rooted in the Vedic literature itself. They are upheld across every genuine sampradaya. A Vaishnava, a Shaiva, a Shakta, whoever sincerely follows their tradition at a high standard will arrive at the same fundamental disciplines. But Kali Yuga works against this. Kali Yuga whispers that the standard is too strict, that God will forgive everything, that religion should be comfortable, that occasional temple attendance covers everything else. The Srimad Bhagavatam speaks directly about this danger. In the 12th canto, it describes how in Kali Yuga, human beings will claim religious identity while abandoning religious practice. They will wear the dress of religion but live the life of the material world. Srila Prabhupada writes in his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.8, a person is as good as his surrendering unto the Supreme Lord, not as good as his birth, not as good as his name, not as good as his caste or his family lineage, as good as his surrendering. This is the measuring stick. The question today is not whether a person worships Krishna or Shiva or Durga or Rama or Hanuman. The question is whether that worship is accompanied by genuine obedience to the instructions those same deities have given. Rama taught Dharma by his example. Shiva is Ashutosh, but also Mahakala. Durga destroys what is impure. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, verse 66, delivers the final instruction. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. But surrender means something. It is not a word to be repeated while continuing to live according to one's own desires. Srila Prabhupada explained that surrender has 6 features as described in the Vaishnava literature. Accepting what is favorable for devotion, rejecting what is unfavorable, believing in the Lord's protection, depending upon the Lord's mercy, having no interest separate from Krishna's interest, and having humility. How many of us practice even one of these consistently? The purpose here is not condemnation. Condemnation is not the mood of genuine preaching. The mood of genuine preaching is what Srila Prabhupada described as calling out in the street. It is urgent because the situation is urgent. Human life is rare. The Srimad Bhagavatam states in the 11th canto that among millions of species, the human form is obtained after an enormous journey through the cycle of birth and death. To receive this form and waste it entirely on sense gratification is deepest tragedy. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila Chapter 8, records the conversation between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya. Mahaprabhu asked, "What is the best thing in the world?" Ramananda Raya replied that the association of devotees who are surrendered to Krishna is the greatest treasure a human being can possess. Not wealth, not education, not social status. The association of those who are actually following. In Trinidad and across the world, there are sincere souls who have taken these principles seriously. They rise before dawn. They chant the holy names. They study scripture. They regulate their eating and their rest. They serve God and serve others without personal motive. They are not perfect, but they are genuinely trying. This is what Sanatana Dharma looks like in practice. It is not merely a belief system inherited by birth. It is a complete transformation of consciousness. It is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described in the Sixth Astakam. The heart cleansed of the dust of material desire. The pride and false ego given up. The name of the Lord rising on the tongue at every moment. Kali Yuga will always offer the lower standard. This age is expert at convincing us that we are doing enough when we are not. But the scriptures offer us the higher standard. And every genuine saint who ever walked this earth is calling us toward it. The real crisis is not that people have left religion. The real crisis is that millions are satisfied with religion as a cultural decoration, while the actual purpose of human life remains unfulfilled. Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:34, "Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me." Always, not occasionally, always. Each of us must honestly ask, am I following God, or am I following my mind dressed in the language of God? Am I practicing Dharma, or have I inherited a name and called it a life? The answer to that question determines not merely the direction of our spiritual journey, it determines everything. Hare Krishna.